we are. All right, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Hope you're doing okay. It's October 2nd now. Nice cool weather. It's a perfect day. Getting a few stretches. A little bit of coffee. And of course, that water. Stay hydrated. So, I know we said we were going to be doing a little bit more advanced stretching today, and you're probably wondering, why are you sitting in your duff if that's the case? What we're going to do is we're going to kind of give you a way to gauge yourself, how far to push yourself. So what's happening is I have a few people contacting me saying, you know, Chris, I kind of know what I'm doing. I'm not really sure if I know what to feel and where that point is too far. How far is too far if I'm pushing this thing? And I get that because, yes, if you don't stretch, we don't allow that muscle to do so. If you don't feel enough tension, then your muscle is not going to allow itself to stretch out, and you're still going to retain that tightness. So we want to prevent that. So here's an easy gauge, and we'll go through just a few exercises, a few of the key ones that'll have a lot of tightness. So the hamstrings, the lower back, right? These are places that, you know, in the inner thighs, these are places that have a lot of tightness. So we're going to focus on those. We're going to do those a little bit slower, a little bit more concentrated, just to give you a gauge on how far you can go. So an easy test, and we'll do this together right now, on how to know what you should be feeling. Okay? So here's what we're doing. Take your hand and spread your fingers back as far as you can get them. Right? Now, if you're really, really trying, you could probably feel a little bit of tension right here. Right? You can feel it in the bottom of these fingers. Now, very gently now. Gently push, and you will feel those fingers. So you're pushing those fingers back a bit. You're going to feel an extra stretch. Right? And look, I'm not going far, right? I'm going like that. So we're not talking a big stretch. So you don't have to go far to feel that extra tension. So your leg can go naturally a certain level, and you just want to go that little bit more. So how are we going to do this? How are we going to advance slowly and safely? How do you know what's too far? We're going to do something called finger crawling. Okay? Or finger walking. You may have heard it used different terms. I like crawling because it's a little bit slow, and sometimes your other fingers kind of step in, right? So what you do is you get in the position, you're tight, and you picture that's how far you're going to advance into your stretch. Okay, we have some of those. We do have some gentle pushing that needs to be done. As you can see, I have tight upper legs, right? So I have tight hamstrings, I have tight inner thighs. I was in casts for a couple of years. So that forced these things to turn like rock solid. So we got to stretch those out. So how are we going to do that? We're going to have to literally push down on them. So again, we're not doing anything extreme, but we're going to take our time so that as we do it, if you're trying this at home, you're not pushing too far, right? And if you are, we got to ease up. Okay, so don't go too far. Number one, you want to go easy. So if you want, today, you can just watch and learn, or you can give it a shot. So we'll start off in here, okay? Now, as you can see, my knees go way up when I go here. Now, if I was really flexible, my knees would be down on the ground. Okay? So, what a lot of people suggest you do is you push in opposite directions. Right? Now, remember, you're relaxing into the stretch. So, as you're in this relaxed position, you're pushing and you're relaxed. So, you're not fighting it. You're not fighting to hold your legs down, and you're not pushing your legs down. You're not using your legs to push themselves down, because that pulls your hip down. Right? That makes your hip get a lot of tension. We get here, we relax, right? Now we gently push. Why do I cross my hands? Chris, why don't I go this way? There's a reason for that. If I put my hands here, I can push all the way to the ground, right? And that can make me push too far. This way, I mean, there's only so far I'm going to reach, right? And since we're not at a level that our legs can go to the ground yet, I want to make sure that I limit myself. So I can't push much more than this. I just want a little bit of a stretch. That's it, just like that. There we go. Good. Now, try to pull the feet in. All right, and do it again. Relax and push. There you go. So you see, I'm not moving much, but I'm just adding that extra tension like I did on the fingers that will advance me slowly into a better stretch. Now, we're going to do a part 2 of this. If you have trouble doing that, I mean, this is not super easy, right? If you have trouble doing that, what we can do is we can focus one side at a time, right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to our foot up. So now you can see I'm still in that same tense position. I've just released the other leg for now. So I got to make sure that I keep this foot in line with the center of my body, which will pull it up. And now I'm gently going to press. Very gently press down. And relaxing in here, right? There we go. Very gently. If you're really a hot shot, you'll do it like this, because putting your feet like this actually forces the knees outward, which creates that extra tension. So now I can focus one leg at a time. Right? So I'll do this one. I'll forget about that one for now. Just do this one. There we go. Gently. I'll come over to this side. Just gently. So I'm not trying to break my own legs, right? Nothing crazy. Just gentle. There we go. Good. How'd that feel? Good? Yes? No? Well, hopefully you did. But if you're tight like me, you're like, whoo, that was a stretch, right? So these are things that are really, really key. Now, we're going to work on the hamstrings. We're going to do a couple of things. We're going to do one, just hamstring. Then we're going to do a hamstring back stretch. So it's basically the entire body is going to stretch. But let's do a hamstring first. So we'll go in the traditional position, right? Why this way, right? Because this way, now this leg is kind of uncomfortable, I'm not really sure what to do. So we pull it in here, and now this is out of the way. We're focusing here. Back straight. Always back straight. If we don't put the back straight, we're going to put the tension on the back of the knee. Remember, we did that the other day. So, sit up straight. Right now, everyone does this and they try to grab their toes. But we don't want that. We don't want you to curl over and grab your toes. We want the back straight. But Chris, you say, right? I'm stuck. I'm stopped at this spot. This is as far as I can go. I know it's, for me, my hamstrings, like I said, they're like rocks. So here's where the finger crawl comes in. Because if I push myself and I try to bounce and I really try to reach, I can risk going too far, right? Momentum will push you into discomfort. So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to finger crawl our way. We're going to pull ourselves forward. So now we feel the extra stretch without the discomfort. Right? And now that hamstring is really stretched out. So now we're gently guiding our body into a stretch that's beyond its normal capacity. Not into discomfort or pain, but we're pushing it a little bit. So we don't push past it. We have boundaries. We have natural boundaries. Your body, gets stiff, tightens up. It's very normal, right? And we release slowly, right? So it's very normal that we have natural boundaries. That'll say, okay, well, that's as far as I can go, right? But once we get there, okay, now we're back straight. We lean forward. Okay, that's as far as I can go. Okay. Now let's help ourselves get just a little bit farther. And now we get that extra stretch down there. Because we're going to be doing yoga moves a year from now. Right? We gotta get on this. But this is good. And I know it seems, to say, well, geez, Chris, I can barely do these. How are you going to do yoga moves a year from now? I mean, look, I can barely do these too, right? It's progression. It's slow, and we get there. I will tell you a story. My legs were so bad that in my 20s and my 30s, I could not do this. This was a concept that was not possible for me. So when I would sit, I would like have my legs in these weird positions and like fall onto my arse, right? My family, if they saw it, it was ridiculous. So if it was like Christmas time, let's say, and all the seats on the couch were full, well, I would have to push someone else to the ground because I could. Well, I wouldn't literally push them, but convince them to go to the ground because I couldn't sit on the ground because it was such an ordeal. Now, here I am sitting on the ground, right, with you. So yes, it's work. It takes time, but we'll get there. All right, let's do this again. Just in case you got distracted about my chit chat. So back straight, leg in that proper position. You see my toe now, it's straight up. It's not out like this, it's not inward. Straight up, good. Now we finger crawl, keeping the back straight. Now why do we keep my chin up? Because it helps concentrate on keeping the back straight. As you do this, you have a tendency to roll. Right? So keeping the head up helps focus keeping your back straight. And then we go and we let that sink in. Now don't buckle your knee, right? Because of the tension, your body's going to say, oh, maybe it's a little tight. Maybe I got to buckle that knee. Don't let it, right? Because now we're relaxing into that stretch. We're not pushing our body. The finger crawl is going slow enough that we're not pushing it. We're relaxing that foot. That leg is relaxed, right? And we let that stretch do its thing. Nice. Good job, just like that. All right, other side. Now, here we go. All right, finger crawling, back straight, chin up, very nice. And there, so now we've hit a nice spot, and we make sure that we relaxed, right? So now, natural position is here, and then you finger crawl your way, you're noticing you're getting yourself closer and closer to your foot. You say, okay, this is not so bad. And now I'm down to the bottom of my pant leg. Okay, this is pretty good. Without causing too much pain. All right, there we go. So again, speed and bounce. So to whip yourself into that position and try to really get in there, you're going to force yourself past the point of comfort, and you could pull a muscle. You could be sore for days, so don't do that, kids, okay? That is a no, all right? So next exercise we're going to do is going to focus a lot on the entire body, okay? So we're going to have some back involved. We're going to have our hamstrings involved, the whole thing. So we're going to sit like this, nice and straight. Nothing too crazy, like you don't have to be insane, right? Just straight, just don't let this happen, right? Chairs that we live in, this is what happens. On our office work, right? So you see how the shoulders are rolled forward, the back is bent. This is why we have pain. Your body is meant to be straight. So we're going to sit up straight, and we're going to just lean forward. Right? Now, okay, Chris, there's only a limit we can go. Perfect. We're going to bring hands down, or we're going to finger crawl it. Right? And now you're like, whoo, that's okay. I can feel it all over the place. He's going to feel it in the back and the hamstrings. Right? But that's okay. It's what we want. And we get that stretch. Right? So now your finger crawls, if you look, from where you start, I mean, I'm not going far, right? You don't have to go far. You want that stretch to deepen. And you try. Now, I realize when I say relax in the stretch, a lot of you at home are going to feel tension. Tension causes your body to have what's called it's a stretch reflex. So similar to, remember when you see the doctor and he hits your knee and your foot goes up? Okay, the reason that happens is because you bent your knee. Now this tendon here has built up the kinetic energy of your stretch reflex. He taps it, pushing it beyond the point where it's comfortable, and bam, it releases all that stretch reflex. So you're going to feel tension, your body fighting you, trying to push you back, right? Trying to push you back to where you're body is comfortable, because your body doesn't like you in discomfort, even if it's good for it. Counterintuitiveness of the body. So we get ourselves into the stretch, and now you're feeling that stretch reflex. You're like, Chris, my body wants to straighten out. But now is where we have to concentrate. Now it's up here, right? Now, okay. And there, and relax. Right? We can hold that position, and the longer we relax and breathe, you're going to feel the tension waning. Right? And that's why stretches are supposed to be relaxing. I realize I talked throughout for your education, obviously. But when you're doing it alone, obviously you want to be calm. You don't want to be excitable. I'm excitable by nature. You want to be calm. I have, my phone's always around because I play relaxing music, which relaxes me. So when those moments come in that I need to concentrate, and just focus on the music, right? Good. So listen, we've done quite a bit. Now we're going to work on the back. I'm going to do 2 exercises. So, what's that? You want a water break? Sure, have some water. Have some coffee. No problem. Take a little break. Give time to get on your hands and knees. Now, if your hands and knees, if you have trouble being in this position, in other words, your knees are not comfortable or your shoulders are suffering pain, unfortunately, you can't do this one yet, but we're going to come up with a modified version for you. You've got to send us a message. Let me know, and we'll customize based on where you're having problems. So we're going to do a cat stretch. Right? So here's what you're going to do. You're going to fold your back like a cat, right? You see the cat? Doing a stretch. Good. And then we're going to come back down and the other direction. Right? So now see my spine is usually like this, and I'm bringing it down. Right? And I'm bringing my head up. Now, why am I doing this? This is very counterintuitive to what we usually do at the back. But what we're doing is we're not forcing a big stretch. Right? So we're not making our body do what it's not able to do. You notice we're not pushing, we're not finger crawling in this one, right? And what we're doing is we're just encouraging the movement of the spine. All right, there we go. Just a few, not much. So the way the spine is built, obviously you know it's multiple vertebrae, right? It's got little discs in between. Now, as that tightens, what happens is you have vertebrae that'll stay solid while the other ones will move, right? So if I don't have flexibility of the length of my spine, what happens is when I need to bend over, right? So my spine is supposed to bend this way. But because one half is stiff, the other half bends. So now this half that's bending is taking all the load. Therefore, that's the sore back, right? So we want to encourage the movement of the spine, the strengthening of the muscles around them, and the mobility is what's going to prevent back pain. So we want to down, with the head up, and then we roll it up. Now you shouldn't feel any discomfort. If you're feeling discomfort, you might be pushing a little far. So remember, I don't need to push far. Because the more I do it, the more my body's going to be able to do. And your first you're going to be no good probably. A little bit tight, but as you do more, you start loosening up. And there you go. Good, so we don't need to do many of those. All right, so last one we're going to do is the child's pose. Right, one of the best back stretches you're going to find. So here's what we're going to do. Hands and knees again. And we're going to sit back onto our hips. And we're going to lower our heads down. Right? Now, from here, here's what we're going to do. We're going to finger crawl our way out to really stretch that back out. Right? Pushing the head down is not necessary, but if you're going to relax, tends to happen. Right? Deep breath. Relax into that stretch. And you're going to feel yourself. For those who have hip pain, you're going to feel yourself sink into your hips. You're going to come here, and your hips are going to sink down. And you're going to start feeling a lot of tension in those hips. Your hips are going to try to push back. Right? Don't let yourself feel pain, but try to relax those hip muscles. Right? Don't let the tension of the hip muscles be where the pain is. Let them relax. Right? Because you're going to come down and, oh, now I'm going to be tense. But now if I let go and adjust, deep breath, these muscles will loosen and you can go a little bit deeper. Okay? So we'll do the whole motion again. Remember, back straight, right? We're not doing this. So now we go back. Good. Right? We're back on our hips now. We relax and sink in. Now we finger crawl our fingers forward. Just stretch out the lats. Right? And now we sink down into this. Just relax into that stretch. Right? Nice and calm. Perfect. Good job. So, listen, that's about it for today. I hope you learned a few things on how to focus and where to focus, right? And how you can push yourself a little bit beyond where you're at right now, gain some progression in your stretching without putting you into discomfort. Remember, finger crawl that way, right? And you're just going to slowly get better and better at it. So we're, quote unquote, pushing you without forcefully pushing you. All right, so that being said, guys, try to have a relaxing weekend. It's first weekend of October. The leaves are falling. It's a beautiful fall day the next couple of days. The rain has stopped and given us a bit of a break. Obviously, with COVID, you can't be going to a lot of parties. We're on kind of code red in this region. So keep your masks around, keep your gloves around, but still get out there and get as much fresh air away from other people as you can. And we will see you again on Monday. All right, and have a good day. And now the awkward crawl has shut off the camera every time.